All right, good evening and welcome to Sunday Evening Coffee. I am Brian, and sitting right across from me is my beautiful wife, Crystal. Say hello, babe.
Hello, everyone.
And Jason and Jennifer Zach say what's up?
What up?
Do you hear my freeze-dried pineapple?
Yeah, you can definitely hear that. I can see it on the sound waves there. So
Okay.
It's actually Thursday. It's not Sunday. We started on Sunday, and Jason was pitiful.
Had a slight problem.
Slight issue. We're all better now.
He maybe threw up 3 times before they decided to.
The junk bag is still in the corner in case we have an emergency.
That's right. So yeah, that's all good.
And we don't have coffee tonight.
We don't
water,
have coffee.
except
Jason has coffee.
I have leftover from this morning coffee, just warmed up. So. My dad would be proud.
Yeah,
to warm it up from the morning.
There's a nap fly right there. I can't. We have lots of fruit. I'm telling you, the bananas, they bring them in.
They do.
So if you're not watching the video right now, it's actually, you really should be, because it's quite funny.
I see it. Oh, no.
Did you get it?
Down low.
No, it's
down
okay.
low.
Now it's above your head. We'll just make this the comedy episode. So we're excited because tonight is everybody's favorite topic. It's
sex night.
It's sex. And it's Thursday. Let's talk about sex, baby. So it's sex night on the show, and it's Thursday, so it really is sex night.
Yes.
There's two
pluses.
Too
Sorry,
much.
Cameron.
Too much. Cameron knows. We've had the conversation. So anyway, so we're, in all honesty, as much as that was kind of tongue-in-cheek, it is exciting to talk about because
The gnats.
I feel like
you need chopsticks like Mr. Miyagi.
I'm positive I could catch a fly with chopsticks. Positive of it. So now I completely got derailed because I'm in my head. I'm imagining using chopsticks to catch a fly, which would never happen.
It's exciting.
Sex is exciting to talk about, not because it's sex, but because I think it's probably one of the most controversial things in marriage, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's,
yes.
Most of the time you have men who want to have sex all the time and women who are.
I think it can be a very friction-causing topic.
Oh, look at that. Friction. I guess it depends. I guess it depends on your age. I don't know. But
this is making my brain think I'm eating cereal.
I feel like it's been a long time since we've recorded a podcast.
It has been a while.
It has been.
Like a year.
When you're listening to this, it'll be May 1st because this comes out this week, and we will be off our whole 30.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whoop, whoop.
We will probably be
We'll be throwing up.
We will be.
We'll be doing a Jason.
Right as you're listening, we'll be throwing up in the bathroom.
And be listening because Sunday night, Crystal and I are going to record a live video and talk about the little things that we've kind of hinted about, but about our vision and what we feel like God is calling us to. So be listening for that too on Sunday night. So, sex.
Yes.
Wait, was that yes as in that was a question? You said yes?
That's all.
So the first thing that I want to talk about before we even dive into all of our notes is what we have found to work and what we have kind of walked through in life group that seems to be somewhat successful. And it's not that you always hold true to it, but we talk about everything in a marriage as bargaining and bartering, and sex is that way too. And just like anything else, planning dates or planning anything else, planning sex. And as
sterile as it sounds.
Yeah, it's not spontaneous, some people will say, but that's really not the case. It takes so much stress off when you go, okay, I can live with 7 times a week, and you can live with 3 times a week, and let's find the happy medium, and we'll land on 5 or whatever that number is.
6.5.
That's right, exactly. Or as in one of our life groups, we had a couple who said, "Oh, you mean you do it every month?"
Yes.
Oh, nice.
You were in that life group. You don't remember that?
No.
Well, we'll talk about it later.
I remember that.
So anyway, so it's a negotiation, and for us, it has. And I'm not going to get too personal because I get in trouble if I get too personal. But for us, it has worked really well, and that's not to say that what we've negotiated happens every week. But
we have been known to trade days.
Trade out a day, or miss a week altogether sometimes. You know, it happens. But being said, it takes a lot of pressure off, because I found myself, she says I'm more like a girl in this area. Like, I get deflated very easily, and I'm like, I'd just rather not do it. Just forget it. You know, if I feel like she's
It's like starve or
yeah.
Feast or famine.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so if we know that we have certain nights, then I don't feel a bit bad when she's like, I'm really tired. I don't care. We negotiated. This is a night, so pony up. It's a drive-through night, right? I mean, that's what Pastor says. It's either, sometimes you want the 4 or 5 course meal, and sometimes it's okay to hit the drive-through.
Sometimes it's Ruth's Chris, sometimes it's McDonald's.
That's right. Both are sustaining.
That's right.
Sometimes you want the McDonald's.
Sometimes, that's all you
Just
want.
saying. So that's my biggest tip is look, talk about, negotiate. Hey, you know what?
Especially if it's a contentious subject in your home.
Yeah, and most men are going to negotiate high, and most women are going to negotiate low. Then you land somewhere in the middle that's livable.
That really everybody's happy with.
Yeah.
Because bottom line is you got to be purposeful in doing it, and because as you already alluded to, if you're not purposeful with doing it.
I'm sorry. I just really want to sing. Doing it well. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, you do. I know what you mean, but it's hard to think about doing it purposefully. But yes,
purposely do it.
Yes.
Because if not, then you won't do it at all.
Yeah.
And then
and it'll be frustrated.
Especially men can get very frustrated.
And moody.
Because
they turn into toddlers.
Here's the thing that women miss. It's a physical need. And this is what I say, and we may talk about this in the notes. I really can't remember now, but I'll say it right now because it's in my mind. If you don't have a healthy sex life for whatever reason, if a woman is withholding and your husband cheats, you have equal blame in that. If you're not, your part of your wifely duties is to have sex. Now, I'm not saying that there are instances where women are not having sex and people have an affair. I'm not saying that, and I'm never condoning an affair. But I do think there's.
Well, then you might want to rearrange your statement.
Did it sound like I meant that?
Yeah, I did a little bit.
Well, that's not what I meant at all. I would never condone an affair, but I do think responsibility lies on both parties. Anyway, so in Genesis chapter 1, God creates man in his image. He makes male and female from the moment of creation. Mankind was designed to be different as male and female and physically designed for sex. Like we talk about all the time. You look at a drop cord, the two male ends can't go together. They don't work.
Right.
God is
it's easy, you know what plugs into what.
That's right. God is as interested in our sex life as in any other aspect of our lives.
And I've heard pastors from the platform, one in particular that we all know and love, that is like, God is, Jesus, just imagine he's right there like, yeah. And I'm thinking, no, I don't want to think he's anywhere near what I'm doing. Like, that weirds me out a little bit. And I think it comes from maybe baggage or bad decisions in life or whatever. I don't want to think he's anywhere near our sex life. That freaks me out.
Two of the books, just so you know for reference, that we talk about a lot are Sex Starts in the Kitchen and Sheet Music. Those are two really great books to read up on, so make a note. Sex can make or break a marriage if you let it. Crystal and I do always say that sex is a thermometer of a marriage. And I think that's very true. If you see somebody who doesn't have a healthy relationship in the bedroom, I think it's a thermometer of what's going on in their life.
And I think healthy can be different for every relationship.
Right.
Absolutely.
I think it can be.
But I think if you have a couple who, they have not had sex in 6 months or a year, there's something underlying.
There needs to be no bitterness or
Sort of like a physical, there's something
right.
going on. Yeah.
Women and men have different needs sexually, for sure, but in all areas. And a lot of these notes we can make available to you guys if you want them to. But for men, Jason and I can talk about the men's side, and you women can talk about the women's needs.
Okay.
But the 5 most basic needs of a man are, number 1,
Dun, 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 dun.
sexual fulfillment. Admiration, an attractive spouse, domestic support, and recreational companionship.
Hang on. Well, how do you feel, Jennifer, about it saying an attractive spouse? Would y'all say that's true for you all? For the two men at the table? That's important to you?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that?
Well, I don't want to always feel like I have to have makeup on, and at home I want to wear my sweatpants. I mean,
and we want you to think that's attractive.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, attractive spouse doesn't necessarily mean that you're in pearls and a dress every day. Mm-hmm. That just means how do you present yourself in every aspect of your life.
Right.
Yeah, and here's the thing. You even said, so back for a while when Crystal, right after Crystal had Sophie, before she went back to work, she was out of work for 6-8 months. She wore sweatpants all the time. She never put makeup on.
It was awful. I am like, yeah. It was bad.
And she said,
I didn't wash my hair a lot.
Yeah.
No, that goes a little,
Get that out there.
Yeah.
I'm just sort of giving up.
So
I think I had one gray velour sweatsuit that was my favorite.
Yeah. You did.
It was so bad.
It was a larger
It was
size.
probably an extra large. It was a tough season.
It was. But I think you got to a point, and you've said you got to a point where you got convicted about that. You know, that just like you want to present your best for God, you want to present your best for your husband. And there's nothing wrong with being in your sweatpants at home and not wearing makeup. Crystal can not have makeup on and be in whatever, and I still find her attractive. There's a difference. There's a lot of things that make up attraction. Physical attraction, absolutely. But, you know, it's funny, and we even talked about this last week. Some of the times when she is the most unattractive to me, she can have on makeup and high heels and physically be beautiful, but her mouth makes her unattractive. Mm-hmm. You know, so there's a difference in what that attraction means. But
your
there's
attitude behind it. Too.
Yeah. But definitely, I mean, I want her to look pretty. I mean, you know, like if we're going out, I want her to have makeup on and wear high heels.
I understand it because I want him to be. I want him to dress attractive too.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, I understand that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's as high as on our list as it is on guys' list.
And I think it changes. I think the initial attraction, there has to be a physical attraction. And I think I always want to be physically attracted to her, but I think that morphs and that changes. And I think things that make her more attractive are not always physical, you know?
Mm-hmm. Because I mean, a lot of times it start out as the physical, but then it grows into loving their heart.
Yeah.
And who they truly are. And that's where you really begin to show true affection towards someone when you really admire and think they're attractive when they are in the sweatpants.
Yeah,
because you know that their heart and you know, not everybody's going to be you know, in the dress suits every day all day long.
The sweatpants are the real deal.
Right.
Now if you
Mine are my running shorts. Those are my sweatpants.
Now, if they're standing up because they haven't washed them in 5 weeks,
yeah, that's right.
And they can stand on their own, then yeah.
Which I don't do, by the way.
When you come in at the end of the day when your wife's been home all day and you're like, oh, did you have Doritos at some point today?
Pancake batter.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And, you know, so domestic support and recreational companionship, those are ones that when we first talked about this, I kind of thought about that for a minute. I thought, you know, I think that is a need that you don't even think about. Like, I love that she loves to go hiking, and I love that she loves to go to the gun range, and those things that you don't think about being recreational, but I mean, it is. It's, you know, she loves to camp. She loves to do things that I like to do, and I like to do things that she likes to do that are recreational, which shopping is not one of them. But you think about that, and that is pretty high on your list. Like, you want, one of the first times we were together, we went whitewater rafting, you know, with a group of people. And
this is when I was pretty chunky. I had to wear a bodysuit in front of him and all of his friends. It was awful. And there was this big black guy that was in he was in the raft with us, I think. I know he was inside where we were changing at.
Yeah, we were changing at with us.
I'm just going to stand next to this guy because I'm tiny. But I'm not going to stand next to any of those little people. I'm going to stand next to the little people.
But I think those things you don't realize, that plays into making somebody more attractive too. Mm-hmm. You know, like if you think about it,
it's the whole package thing.
Yeah. I mean, you guys like to hike and camp too, and like when and probably you think about being that more from a man's perspective. But when you see your spouse doing that with you, that makes them more attractive too. So, all right, girls, what are your most basic needs?
Affection, not sex. often defined as tenderness, kind words, making you feel special, saying I love you, etc.
But do you like sex?
Yes.
That's just not on
It's
the
just
top
not the
five.
number one. It's not even on the top 5. And we did not make this list. This is like I don't know, statistically. Conversation is number 2. Honesty and openness, financial support, and family commitment.
So y'all like sugar daddies
Sugar daddies.
that tell you they love you.
And aren't going anywhere.
So do y'all agree? Yeah. Do y'all agree with that list? Do you feel like those are?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty consistent.
The financial support is the big one.
Agreed.
From the security standpoint.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
security part of it. And I think the whole list is very accurate. It's good.
The honesty and openness, that would be a big one too.
That's what I was going to say too.
What does that look like to you? Honesty and openness in what areas?
All of them.
Yeah. You
Good,
can't.
bad, and other.
Yeah.
I think.
I just didn't know if you had any elaboration. All right.
Then one thinking.
So we're recording a podcast. You know, that's not how this works.
Okay, I think honesty and
Any of
openness.
this works.
Okay, I can give an example about something that we've been talking about lately. And you have been telling me one thing, but then come to find out, I don't think you were being completely honest about how you felt about it.
Ooh, what is this about?
Well, I'm not going to go into all that right now. But do I need to text you what it is? Because I'm not going to say.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, he already knows.
I think that's an example of honesty and openness because I was furious because I think he was telling me what he thought I wanted to hear or what he felt like the right answer was versus what his real answer was. And that makes me so mad. Like, I want to know truly what you think and what you feel. I want you to be completely honest with me. Even if it's not the answer you always want, that's still the answer I think most women, that's what we want. So...
And the bad news for me was it was a Tuesday night, and so she was upset. Yeah. So even though they really are not 100% universal, I think if you surveyed, and that's what they did, they surveyed men and women, I think these are the most 5 common. And I think they're...
And I think as you can see, based on our topic, number 1 for the men and number 1 for the women are not the same.
Right.
Men's number 1 is not even in the top 5 for women.
Yeah.
So how do you give a woman number 1 so you get number 1?
Well, and I think
Right.
and if you look at it, the top 3 reasons people divorce are money and finances, children, parenting, and then sex. I mean, those are usually the top 3 reasons. And so, if you understand that, and again, it's all about negotiation. It's all about figuring out how to do all those things well. So if you can do Dave Ramsey and get on a budget, you got that taken care of. If you can figure out how to negotiate for how many ever times a week or month you need sex to feel fulfilled, and how many ever times a month you need to have conversation and date nights on the female perspective, then I think you've already headed off at the pass a lot of the big issues.
Absolutely.
Well, I could say for I think for most marriages, in today's world, sex is looked upon as something that's dirty, and it's of the world, and that's where we as Christian believing couples need to change our thinking in that it's not. This is something that, as you already talked about, kind of God created, and God's there for you. And so it's a matter of taking that and making it the best possible for you and your spouse. And just like you can't move forward being in debt and dealing with the financial things of it all, you can't move forward into a better relationship together if you don't have the sex part together. And because it definitely goes hand in hand between all of your decisions, your being closeness, because if you start tearing away or separating your physical ability, even though you may sleep in the same bed together, you're still not connected.
There's a different level of closeness.
It's a totally different level. So
It's the intimacy level.
Yeah. And intimacy for women is more talking. Intimacy for men is the physical contact. And so you have to figure out how to balance that. That's why the book, Kevin Leman, Sex Starts in the Kitchen, that's why that's so important to understand that. And you have to figure out that it's not about, well, we've not been hitting on all 4 cylinders all night long, and then we're going to go to bed, and we're going to let's. And that's not reality. I mean, it's not reality for either one of us.
Right. Or if it ends up being that, there could be a negative mindset for the wife where she's doing it just because versus because she wants to.
And becomes bitter and angry about it.
Are you saying that's where you're at?
No, I'm just giving that. And also to your point about the world, I think the world has taken sex over, obviously. And I think that we've become a world of everything being so, it's about sensuality and sexuality in a way that God didn't intend. That I think it's hard for a lot of women who try to be godly women or whatever. Like it feels almost like you're doing something dirty. Like I think there's a lot of boundaries there that the world has taken over. That you've got to figure out how to find freedom in Christ and in your marriage and in your relationship.
You shouldn't want to compete with that.
No, because you can't.
Right? Yeah. No, you can't.
And you should be able to talk about those things. And again, not to be too personal, but there have been times where she'll be like, "Well, why do you feel that way about this or whatever?" And I'm like, it just somewhere in my mind, either it's something that I've seen that makes that dirty.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about different sexual stuff.
Where that it really has nothing to do with being dirty. It's just because of something that I've seen, an image that I've seen, or something that I've seen in the past.
Because the worldview has
that makes that dirty. And then I think you have to be able to realize that, because I think some things you don't even realize why you're like, They're like, wait a minute, why is that?
Or some things that maybe we should think are dirty that the world thinks is okay. It goes both ways, I think. Definitely. And,
I think it's very true. I think most women really don't understand the need for sex that men have. And it's not that it's we're sex crazed fiends and we're going to get it no matter how we can. Although on some level there's some truth to that. But I think that, from the standpoint of just like you said, getting moody. You go a week without sex from a male's perspective, and you do start getting moody.
I mean, it truly is a biological.
Then you start resenting, and then all of a sudden it's like, don't even look at me. You know what? If you're keeping closed down, then don't even
close doors.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's funny. Thank you, Lord. Thanks for that design.
Men can feel cheated because he promised to be faithful and have no other partners. Well, if his partner is not performing, then all of a sudden he's feeling cheated because that's part of the deal. Right. Men agree to limit their sexual experience to their wife, but then she's unwilling to have normal sexual relations, so that's a problem. Did you have those other notes that you've got listed here?
I don't.
Well, that's helpful.
It is. I didn't know we were going through it all like we're in class. I thought we were just discussing the topic. I'm sorry.
Well, we are kind of, but I'm sorry.
Okay, here's a good verse from the Message that talks about sex. I'm going to read this while you're perusing your notes over there. This is from the Message. There is more to sex than mere skin to skin. Sex is as much spiritual mystery as physical fact. As written in Scripture, the two shall become one. We must not pursue the kind of sex that avoids commitment and intimacy, leaving us more lonely than ever. The kind of sex that can never become one. There is a sense in which sexual sins are different from all others. In sexual sin, we violate the sacredness of our own bodies, these bodies that were made for God-given and God-modeled love for becoming one with one another. And that's 1 Corinthians 6:16 through 18 from the Message, which I think goes back to what we were talking about with the worldview and how it's distorted God's design and what his plan of it was, which was for a man and a wife to become
husband and wife.
I mean, it's the design. It's the way
it takes a long time to get, when you've done that, it takes a long time to get that out of your mentality and your thinking and your heart.
Well, I think all of us at the table have had sex outside of marriage. I mean, I think that's a safe thing to say.
What? No.
And
I adopted
and I also
Cameron.
that was within. Well, one was within marriage, but anyway, the point of that is though, I think we could all agree that sex within marriage is very different. There's I mean, there's almost truly a spiritual element to it. I mean, it's just different.
It is.
I think
it's the design.
I think sex outside of marriage is often just about the sex, the fulfillment, the pleasure of it. And I think sex within marriage is just different. And I would also venture to say, and you guys can speak for yourself because I'm not going to speak to your sex life, but I think that we've found that over the 10 years of marriage that our sex life is probably better today than it was even at the start. You know, I think we know each other better, and I think, you know, we just have a better sex life. It's more fulfilling.
I think the more you get closer spiritually together, as well as creating a togetherness household, you become more in tune with each other.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I think that's how it becomes even better.
One of the big things too that we talk about is being able to clearly communicate, you know, your needs. It's okay to say no, don't do that, or yes, do that. One of the stories out of the book Sheet Music. It's funny because it talks about this wife moaned one time when her husband did something.
Doesn't that word just sound dirty?
Yeah.
Moan.
I've read this part.
We can say moat. We can say any other word, but moan.
It's like moist.
Moist.
No. Okay, go ahead. Tell the story.
And so she was like, then I had to spend the next 400 times not making a noise, trying to get him to not do it because he felt like he'd hit jackpot, you know, pay dirt. I found the magic touch, and she's like, "Oh God, no!" And the whole point of that is, you know, if you go look in a man's closet, he probably has 5-6 pair of shoes. There's one pair of shoes for each utility, maybe 2 colors of dress shoes, that kind of thing. You go into a woman's closet and she could have hundreds of pairs of shoes. It's because they like variety. It's never the same. So you can't think that because you have a pair of brown loafers on Monday that you're going to wear brown loafers every day of the week. It's just, it's not how it works.
Never in the same spot.
So you have to be willing to speak up.
Yeah.
I got the eye.
You should go watch the video for that one.
When we do this in class or we do this in life group, we always show 2 video clips. They're Star Wars clips, and the first one is where they're walking in, you know, at the end, Luke Skywalker and Han Solo,
in the background.
Big music, and they're walking in. It's, you know, this big symphony piece. So they get up and you know, they get whatever they get from Princess Leia, and it's a big finale. Well, then we show the exact same clip without the music, and it's the most awkward thing that you've ever. And that's all it is. And so you're like, wow. And so people are always like, and I'm like, see, that's the exact same clip, but there's just something missing. And the something that's missing makes it come together. And that's what sex is. I mean, that's the part of your marriage that makes it all come together. One of the things that we talk about too is the sexual rule book. Like, you don't even realize how much you're influenced by what you saw with your parents, what you saw with your friends, your siblings.
Things you saw, like you were saying, that maybe you think are dirty,
that's right,
or whatever that you have in mind.
But you think about, I mean, for everybody listening, think for just a minute. Think how your parents were. Were your parents overtly sexual in front of you? And I don't mean like dirty sexual, but I mean like, you know, slap you on
the... Or maybe dirty sexual. I mean, there are parents who are inappropriate.
Right.
Yeah, we borderline.
Are you all?
The girls think that we are.
Yeah.
But Jason did say you should be thankful you have a mom and dad that love each other.
That's exactly right. And that's what we say, that honest to God all the time, that exact same thing. I want our kids to know what a healthy relationship should look like. I want them to know that we flirt during the day and we, you know, make passes.
And not be on the line of what it should be, but, you know, up to that point.
But, you know, did you have parents who were, you know, they were cold and they never talked about sex and it was just not a part of your life and they slept in separate beds and you're positive the only time they ever had sex is when you were born? That influences what your sex life is going to be. Or did you have the parents that were, you know, grabbing a cop and a fill every time they could, and that influences your sex life? I mean, all those things play into it. And in the book Sheet Music, that they talk about that being your rule book. Like that's what you don't even understand what makes up your rule book till you start peeling back those layers and go, okay, where did that come from? You know, where?
And again, to what I was saying a minute ago, is if you did make bad decisions, maybe pre-Jesus or pre-marriage, and so then it's like act in a certain way is ungodly. So then when you're trying to be godly, you can't act any of those ways because that's part of your ungodly life, and it's figuring out where does that all fit in a godly model
to blend
of what
it together.
it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
what gets you upset in bed? What in general fulfills you sexually?
Crumbs.
Sexually?
Crumbs in bed.
Yes.
The worst.
It don't get you upset. You're the one who has crumbs in the bed.
No, I just shake it off.
Oh.
I've been able to lay in bed and eat dry cereal out of the box.
And then so I used to be so bad, I would vacuum the bed sometimes, like at 1 o'clock in the morning, because I would roll over and it would get stuck there. I'm like pushing her out of the bed and vacuuming.
That ruins the night, I think.
Yeah, it does.
I'd be in the doghouse for the next week.
Yeah. What makes you lose all interest in sex? Like not being open and honest about a topic before you go to bed. That can make somebody lose all interest. What generates the most interest in sex? What sexual request or act creates the most fear in you? That's a big one, because you have to stop and think, where does that fear come from? Is it something that you shouldn't be doing, or is it something that you just feel is inappropriate? And then why do you feel it's inappropriate? So there's so much psychology that goes into that. All those things that's what makes up your rule book. Those are the things that play into who you are sexually, and that's your rule book. And then you have to figure out, are those rules there for a reason? Are they a protective rule? Are they a rule or a boundary that you've set up because of something up here that has nothing to do with your relationship? Did you have a partner in your past who was, who did something that was wrong, that made that wrong for you, or what?
And again, I think that in the church we have to realize, and I think that our church has a good balance of people who are pretty open and honest about that sex is okay. Christians can be sexual people. It's part of how God wired us. It's
Absolutely.
part of the design. Versus, I think a lot of the church people in general, it's still like, you don't talk about it. You don't talk about it. You don't address it. You don't deal with it.
Because it's still considered as a world thing versus
yes.
It's really a God thing.
But then at the same time, you have such a porn epidemic that you think maybe if it was addressed and if it was talked about and brought to the light, and people could realize that that it's okay to be wild and crazy and be a godly couple, maybe it would help with some of the other issues people face.
Well, and not to get off on a rabbit trail, but I think that's part of the problem with the church is we want to not talk about sex. We want to, if there's a problem, if there's an addiction to anything, we want to not bring that up in church.
Right.
That's not a topic you talk about in most churches. It's, you're doing that, stop doing that, move on. Let's don't talk about it. Just stop doing it. And I think that's a disservice that we've done.
Whole into him.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of classes or groups on that at all.
No, there's not, for sure. And I don't think there's a safety. I think, and it's sad, but I don't think people feel safe even at church to be able to go, or even in your own home. If you had that true safety where you had such a great relationship that you could go, man, I'm struggling with this, or, whatever, that you had that safety. I was talking with some people this week that, have had some addiction issues, and they're like, church feels like the last place you can go and get help for that, because you feel like it's such a horrible thing that you can't even talk about it. I'm like, that we've missed the mark there, because that's what churches should be. You should be able to walk in and go,
messed up.
I did this. I'm broke. I need some help. I don't know how to fix it. So somebody please don't look at me like I'm a pariah and I'm the worst person in the world. Help me fix it. I don't think we missed that. So sorry about that tangent. But
so that's a challenge for everybody.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
Yeah.
One of the things that we talk about too that I think I'd never even thought about until we read this book is the birth order and how that affects your sex life and who you are. It talks about, the firstborns, the middleborns, and the lastborns. And, if you need to be in control, you're probably a firstborn or an only child. So if you're domineering is not the right word for the bedroom.
Domineering is different than dominatrix.
Yeah,
Two different
but
things.
you get my drift. I mean, if you're trying to be in control,
you want to be in control.
You want to be the boss.
If you think sex and fun go hand in hand, most of the time you're probably the lastborn. If you often accommodate but rarely initiate sex, you're probably a middle child. And as we've done this class with groups of people, that always proves out. People are always like,
so around the table,
that's true.
What are I'm an oldest.
I'm the last born.
You're the
I'm
baby.
oldest.
Only
For
child.
only child. I'm the oldest and the youngest and the middle.
We have a lot of bosses.
Yeah. Yeah. So Lastborns like surprises. They're affectionate and like to be coddled and taken care of. They need lots of attention. Middleborns are more of a mystery, but in general, they want peace at all costs. They're the negotiators. And you'll find that like in all areas of their personality, not just sexually. But and then the firstborn, the only children, are the class presidents, the high achievers. They have to be in control and are know-it-alls. Crystal?
Aw.
What?
Brian?
That's so you, Brian.
Oh, it's Crystal too.
Not as much as you.
That's the only child part of it.
Yeah, whatever. Perfectionists who are capable, dependable, and exhausting. Gosh, I can't talk tonight. Exhaustingly logical. Sexually, they go out of the way to make sure that things are just right. That's true. Oh wait, that was too personal. Sorry.
Yeah.
So with your early memories, you learn the way things should be done. Your expectations are shaped early on, and you know early on whether to expect people to be kind to you or betray you. So if you were abused as a child, that's going to change very much what your sexual makeup is later on in life. You're not going to be as trusting in bed. You're not going to be open to doing things. The good thing is that with your rule book, you're able to change that. And the book goes into great detail about a good lover is able to change their rule book. They're able to go, okay, you know what, even though that's what I've seen and that's what kind of makes up who I am, I can change that. I can make that different, and I can make it better for my spouse by.
And if anybody thinks it's not important, read the Song of Solomon or whatever.
Oh, you don't even need to read a smut novel. You got that.
It's read that, and I'm like, it's kind of a big deal. Like,
right.
This is kind of what we're.
They say breast a lot.
And fawns, like they use all this imagery.
Yeah.
Well, I think it is very key to change your book because, growing up and being in the so inundated with porn and that industry, my view towards marriage sex was completely skewed.
Yeah.
And so it after really realizing it, it took a long time to really realize and change my view of it and really see what sex is really, how God really designed it in a different light, and not have the lens of a porn movie, but have it through God's eyes and see how. So it is very crucial to change the way that you were raised, or your early experiences changed your mindset of that, because most of the time those early experiences are not godly, and it's something that just shapes the rest of your marriage.
Well, and if you look at from a perspective of if porn has shaped your what your rule book is, you oftentimes expect your spouse to perform and to be something and look the part. And we've heard that a lot. There's been lots of couples that have been in classes and whatever that have talked about that. They're still trying to figure out how to fix that and change that, to get past that expectation of you have to look this part, you have to do this.
And still walking through the why is it damaging and what's wrong with it and what does it do to impact your relationship and all those pieces of it.
What?
Nothing. I was going to say, you can have as much damage from like chick flicks and like I think there's more than one way to damage it, not just porn, but I think sometimes women can have a skewed view in a totally different way that we have to watch too.
Right.
So,
and I think if you can't trust your spouse outside of the bedroom, you can't trust them inside the bedroom.
Oh, that's for sure.
100%. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, great sex is learning about how to satisfy your spouse. It's not about satisfying yourself. And I think we miss that. I think we're in it for us, and that's never going to be healthy. It's just not, because if you're, and not to say again, we go back to the drive-through analogy. I mean, there are times, because men and women are very different, and we've omitted talking about orgasms and things like that on in the class because it's too touchy-feely, and Crystal skin crawls every time we do it.
Like I literally pulled my shirt up over my head.
even though we're all adults and we're all married, and hopefully all the women listening have had an orgasm. You need to rewrite it. But anyway, so we're not going to talk about orgasms or say the word orgasm anymore.
If you have any comments or questions, please just.
But in saying that, it was startling too to understand that there's a lot of women who don't.
But you're still talking about it. I thought
You're not going to sneak that in there.
No, but I mean that's crazy to think about. So anyway,
again, Song of Songs.
Yeah.
I think that in the Bible it says love your neighbor as yourself, and I learned this going through pure life was your neighbor is your closest companion, which is really your spouse. And so if you take it sexually, if you treat and respect and perform you would to yourself the way you should go to your spouse, then everything everything through your sexual experiences should go first for your spouse.
Yeah.
And so that way it's also helping you get out of your selfish desires. And so that way, because you're catering to their needs versus always wanting something out for your own self.
That's good.
Yeah, because most women don't like the 3-minute deal.
No.
So when you said that, all I can think of is the Justin Bieber song.
Love yourself.
Love yourself.
Love yourself.
There's other stories that we can't tell right now because they're still too fresh, but I just want to make emotion so bad right now, just to clue you in, but I can't. So anyway, yeah. And the other thing to remember too is you can't change your spouse's rule book. Once that rule book's in place, you can't change that. Now you can have conversations to talk through that, and again, though, you have to have a strong enough relationship to be able to talk about those things. And honestly, most couples don't have those strong enough relationships.
If your spouse is turned off by something, or they're uncomfortable with something, or they don't want to do it, and you've talked about it, don't keep trying to force them to do something.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Especially for women, that pushes you more farther away, and it erodes trust rather than makes you all of a
it makes
sudden
you
go,
wonder.
okay, I've changed my mind.
It's more, because at the end of the day, it's more important to cater what they want to do versus getting something out for yourself. So be respectful for them. If they don't want to do something or do a certain position or something like that, then you need to be respectful for them.
Or if they bring a stripper pole home,
right?
Like, I don't want to use it, like whatever it is.
And two, I will tell you this: I think it's always better to have those harder conversations outside of the bedroom.
Exactly.
The time to have those conversations are not, when you're on the 50-yard line.
No, because you probably are not going to pass the goal line.
A lot of disappointments.
That's a good way to put it.
Women at the end of the day, you want to make your husbands happy, and men, you want to make your wives purr. That's the reality of it. If there's issues in your marriage, in the bedroom, all you have to do is ask God to reveal the cause, and He will. I mean, that'll come to light, and you'll figure that out. Is there sin that you've not confessed? Past decisions and failures can impact your feelings today. Is there hurt or abuse that God needs to heal you of? Is there something in your life that you need to discuss with your spouse? Do you have an addiction or a moral issue that needs to be resolved? Though that's something too that a lot of times when you start digging into those sexual issues, long before you even know there's an issue, and you guys can speak about this if you want to, but long before you probably knew he had an issue with porn, there were probably issues in the bedroom, I'm assuming, too. Like you knew something was wrong. And so they're telltale signs, and trying to figure that out on the front end to be able to have those conversations and going, wait a minute, something's not right. We need to figure this out. So,
well, I think probably one of the first things was me trying to bring porn into our marriage. And that's where she luckily had enough conviction to say, no, this isn't right. And so now looking back, that is completely wrong to even remotely bring in a video, a toy, anything like that to stimulate, because essentially what you're doing is you're stimulating yourself for that image. and
Artificially. Yeah.
And so, which in reality, you should be stimulating yourself for your spouse. So whatever issues that you got going on in your marriage, that's where don't even think to that's okay to even bring in, because that's the wrong way you want to go down. You should be able to satisfy each other with what God gave you, versus going to the store and getting something and thinking that's going to resolve the whole issue.
How many billions of dollars are spent a year?
A lot of money.
It's crazy. Crazy. Think if that money was, doing what it could be doing otherwise.
Yeah.
But the government wouldn't have to try to, you know what I mean? It's like just the money that it robs from people.
I do think I like where you said about is there sin you have not confessed, because I know that women have that intuition about things, and I really think if you just pray and say, God, show me what's wrong, He will.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and you can get to the bottom of it, because nothing's going to change till you get to the root of the problem. That's good. So.
And like the prolific writer said, sex is natural, sex is fun.
Sex is best when it's one-on-one.
That's right. So yeah, if you have sexual issues in your marriage, they can be fixed. That's the great thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't think any marriage is too far gone. I mean, we've even had people that talked about not having sex for long periods of time that figured out what was wrong and fixed it, and they have a good marriage now. So I mean, I think it's a matter of figuring that out and trying to understand what you need to do to have a healthy, not just marriage, but a healthy sex life inside marriage.
I think one other closing comment that's not completely on topic, but somewhat, I think in all of these areas, be sure that you have good, safe boundaries up around your relationship where you don't accidentally crack a door and let something in. Mm-hmm. The movies you watch, the people you're around. If you know that your neighbors are swingers, maybe you don't need to be hanging out at their house all the time. You know what I mean? Like whatever. Make sure that you have an open and honest relationship, and you do have boundaries in place that you hold each other accountable to not let something create an issue where there's not one.
Yeah.
So
boundaries.
Boundaries.
Mm.
Good stuff.
Good.
Yeah.
Safe word.
Swing your neighbors, maybe not.
Yeah. So do you have anything else to add?
No, that was it.
You guys have anything else to add?
I don't think so. Jason was quite the talker tonight.
No, good job.
Can you just say orgasm one time?
No.
Just one time.
I can say organism. I can say organic.
Organized.
Organized.
What about orgasmic?
Oh, orgasmic. I could probably say that.
All right, so sex is important. Figure out how to have it more often for men. For the sake of your husband, have more sex.
For the love of God.
Keep a calendar. I'm just saying, because most women think you have sex more than you do.
Ladies, put a tip jar on your nightstand.
What? A tip jar?
I'm being funny.
Let me tell you,
It's not a bad idea.
let me tell you something that works for us.
Oh, come on with it.
Okay.
Bartering.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We do a lot of bartering.
So I may want something off Pinterest, and I'll be like, "Can you make that for me?" And he's like, "No," and I'm like, "You could."
And here's what I'm willing to pay.
Right. Sometimes we barter like specific things.
Hey,
I don't care.
whatever works.
I know.
men are
I need
reward
it
based.
made first.
I'm gonna have to have it.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm not paying in advance.
we pay with the cash envelope system where we have to have a project done before you actually get the reward.
I agree.
So,
That's good.
But yes, and Mark Unger really talks a lot about it, and we love it. It's just a fun, just kind of a playing game type thing of just play back and forth.
Yeah.
So it's
Anything that
fun.
keeps your marriage fun.
It is.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, you want sex to be fun and exciting and different and
Not
crusty. Yes, crusty white bread.
I don't know where Krusty was going for a minute. Abort!
Cutting out.
Mayday! Gotta edit that one. I'm not editing any of it, so it's all
Oh, my Lord.
good. Anyway, so this is there's lots on that though, but really get those books. They're both really good books, and they both have good information, and they do change your perspective. I think, like we said, sex is taboo, and it's been taboo for a long time in the church, and it shouldn't be. It should be celebrated. It should be talked about, and I'm not talking about personally talked about.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not talking about personally talk about what's going on in your bedroom, but I think it should be talked about that it's okay.
And find another couple who you can trust, who
are not swingers.
Yes. Who are not swingers. Who you can ask questions to and get a godly perspective on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and like Jason said at the front of it, do it well.
Do it well. Do it and do it well.
And often. Do it well and often.
That's right.
All right. Anything else to add?
That's it.
Can we make the music to this one like, let's talk about sex, baby?
No, copyright.
No.
Unless you want to pay for it.
No, I don't.
Okay. It'll get pulled down if we use not Apple Loop, but whatever. Anyway.
We got to stay up.
But doesn't matter how old you are. Doesn't matter.
You're still going to have a 10-year-old mind.
That's right.
We are editing all this out.
All right. So you guys have a great night, and we will see you next time. Happy May.
Happy
It's May 1st.
Woo, it's May Day.
Yeah. So we'll
It's
see.
almost Cinco de Mayo.
It is. What does
We're
that
going to be
actually
off the
think
whole
then?
3 so we can eat it.
Yes.
Oh, I have a work event that night. I wonder if they're going to have food.
I don't know.
Ooh. Let's hope they do.
Oh, my boss is coming to town Tuesday to take me to Cane Prime for dinner.
Good thing you get to eat.
Do you know what Cane Prime
How
is?
come your company doesn't ever invite
Best
spouses?
food ever.
We're best friends.
I can try to.
We can go walk
Yeah,
around
it's in the Gulch, so we can swing like that.
That's right. I'll try to put in a good word. All right, so you guys have a great night. We'll see you next time on Sunday evening. Oh, wait, I didn't give you the website just in case anybody's still listening.
sundayeveningcoffee.com.
I doubt they're listening. At this point, they're probably gone.
They turned to talk about 25 minutes ago.
www.sundayevening.
HTTP.
Colon / / or is it backslash? Anyway,
Nobody-
sundayeveningcoffee.com. Email us at sundayeveningcoffee@gmail.com.
It's not going to be edited out.
That's not how this works. It's not how any of this works.
This is what happens on a Thursday night.
That's right. That's right. Last week of the month. All right. You guys have a great night. See you next time.